Hi, I'm Jessica, and I'm 27 years old. After finishing school, I got a job in a doctor's office. It was busy, but I liked it. Then I stopped working when I got married to John. He wanted me to focus on our home. He asked me to take care of his mom. He really wanted me to do it. Please, I'm begging you, he said. Okay, I'll try my best, I replied. I'm not someone who sticks to just one job. So when John asked me to take care of his mom, I agreed. I met John through a friend, and we got married after dating for a year. John had already lost his dad to sickness, so he was living with his mom. Taking care of my mom will mean a lot to me. She's been feeling lonely, John said. I'm worried about her being by herself. I understand. We can't leave her alone, I replied. I learned that his mom got sick soon after his dad died. Since then, she hadn't been well, and John did most of the chores. When I met her, she was really nice to me. I'll let John handle the things outside, and I'd like you to take care of the house, she said kindly. Sure, mother-in-law. I'm eager to help out, I replied. I didn't have any issues with my mother-in-law. She was sick and couldn't move much. I had a lot of control over things. But the problem was with John. After we got married, he started to keep his distance. Hey, how about we go for a drive on our next day off? Your mom seems to be okay, and I think it would be nice, I suggested. Sorry, I'm really tired. I just want to rest, he replied. Oh, okay. I understand, I said. John started acting upset about how we were getting along. At first, I thought it was because he was busy with work, so I didn't worry too much. But as time passed, he avoided me even more. Even our intimate moments together were affected. Sometimes, even when I thought everything was right, he didn't want to. Please, let's try to work together. I really want to have a baby soon, I begged. I know how you feel. I want that too, but sorry, not today, he replied. Turning 30 soon, I felt a bit rushed. My mother-in-law also wanted a grandchild and kept reminding us about it. It was tough not being able to fulfill her wish. Then, sadly, my mother-in-law passed away before we could have a grandchild. After that, John became even colder toward me. Hi, welcome home. I made your favorite cream stew for dinner, I said. John? Hey, John, are you listening? Oh, do you want to take your bath first? Okay, I'll wait for you, I said, trying to talk to him. John had become really quiet at home. No matter how much I tried to talk to him, he just ignored me. I thought maybe he was still sad about losing his mom. I figured he'd get better with time. So I decided to support him as best as I could, being his wife. But no matter how much time passed, he still didn't seem interested in me. John, how are you feeling lately? Are you sleeping okay? I want to talk about something important about having a baby. I'm thinking of getting a test to check our fertility. What do you think? I asked, trying to start a conversation. Hey, John, I tried again. I tried to talk about his health, his feelings, our plans for a baby, and our future. But every time, it seemed like he wasn't interested. John, please say something. Have I done something to upset you? If there's anything bothering you, or if you want me to change something, please tell me, I begged. Despite my heartfelt plea, John didn't listen. He kept ignoring me for a whole month. My husband's cold behavior was baffling. Feeling desperate, I turned to my old friend Claire for advice. Claire works at a cosmetics company. She's great at her job and has lots of friends. Whenever I have problems with studies, love, or anything personal, I always ask Claire for advice, I explained. Whenever I shared my troubles with her, Claire listened carefully. This isn't normal. A couple in their third year of marriage, living together, and the husband ignoring the wife. That's not right. You haven't done anything wrong, have you, Jessica? She asked. No, I haven't. That's why I don't understand why he's acting this way. I replied, feeling really upset. Claire promised to help me figure it out. Little did I know, Claire had picked up on something. It's his fault. If you haven't done anything wrong, Jessica, he must be hiding something. Let's find out. Eavesdropping, surveillance, following him. We'll use all the methods we can, she suggested. Is it really okay to do that? I asked nervously. Absolutely. It's worse to ignore your spouse and keep secrets in a marriage, she assured me. Following Claire's advice, I secretly installed small eavesdropping devices and cameras in our home. I felt guilty, but I was determined to uncover his secret. But despite all this, John continued to ignore me. John, hey, are you listening? I tried to talk to him, but it didn't work. A few days later, my phone rang. It was John calling. "Hello," I answered. "Where have you been? What's going on, leaving the house for a week?" he demanded. "Why don't you ask yourself why I did this? What are you talking about? Be clear, I don't get it," I replied, feeling angry that he dared to question me after ignoring me for so long. Prompted by Claire to investigate John, I uncovered a shocking truth. Filled with rage at what I had discovered, I left our home and stayed at Claire's house. It was on the 7th day of staying there that I finally received a call from John. "If you have something to tell me, then say it to my face," he suggested. "Fine, but promise you won't ignore me," I replied firmly, ready to confront him. The anger I felt when I found out the truth still burned inside me. His betrayal weighed heavily on me. John needed to face the consequences of his actions. I arranged a meeting and quickly ended the call before he could respond. Later, I invited John to a local cafe. He must have taken time off work because he arrived in a business suit. I didn't waste any time and laid out the evidence I had gathered on the table. "What's this?" "Jessica, stop it. Don't show me these things," he protested. "If you don't like it, why don't you pick them up yourself? It doesn't matter, right? I can print out as many as I want," I retorted. "When were these photos taken?" he asked, trying to change the subject. On the table were photos that incriminated John, pictures of him with his mistress, walking downtown with their arms around each other, entering a hotel together. The woman in all the photos was the same person. Her name was Mary, as I found out during my investigation. I also have audio recordings. "Do you want to listen to them now?" I asked. "Audio recordings," he said, shocked. I tapped the screen on my smartphone, and instantly, a conversation between John and Mary began playing. "Hey John, when is our housemate planning to leave?" Mary asked. "She'll be gone soon. She's getting fed up and might suggest a divorce. I wish she would just confront us, saying, 'Stop ignoring me.'" "That would be easier for me," John replied, his tone cold and calculated. "That's quite a plan you've got there," Mary remarked. "Well, that's just typical of you, John," she added. When I stopped the audio, John seemed frustrated, like he suspected we were listening in. I couldn't help but wonder what kind of expression John wore when facing his own wife. Caught red-handed cheating, he seemed like he was about to explode with anger at any moment. "John, you needed someone to take care of your mother, right? That's why you married me. But now that your mother has passed away, I'm no longer needed. Your real intention was always Mary, wasn't it? But Mary had no interest in taking care of her mother-in-law. So you chose me, someone who was okay with caregiving. It seems like anyone who could handle this difficult duty would do. After your mother's passing, the caregiver role was no longer needed. The plan was to make life miserable and push for a divorce. That's such a petty, cruel, and unfair way to act. It's disrespecting the vows of marriage. The only good thing is that we don't have any children," I accused. "What about children? You knew, didn't you? You never wanted them because you knew it would lead to us splitting up," I added. John sighed heavily. "Most of what you're saying is true. I married you with the intention of leaving you from the beginning. You're right, I'm terrible. What do you think my life is?" "Fine, but I have something else to discuss first," I replied cryptically. "Someone else." "You can't mean." Before John could finish, 2 women arrived, apologizing for keeping us waiting. "What's going on, John?" "So you're the housemaid?" one of the women asked, clearly shocked. "I'm not a housemate. I'm his wife, at least for now." "Thank you, Claire," I said. "You're welcome. Wait, what? I thought we were going shopping for new cosmetics to review," Claire said, surprising both John and his mistress. "I'm sorry, that was a lie. What I was actually doing was looking for my best friend's husband's mistress." "That's you, Claire, and you brought Mary here to sit next to John," I explained. I showed Mary the same evidence, the photos of the affair, as before. Her reaction was like that of a child caught doing something wrong. She didn't seem to fully understand the seriousness of the situation. "Well, her attitude doesn't change what I need to do. I'm going to demand compensation from both of you," I declared firmly. "What? What are you talking about? Why should I have to pay compensation? I haven't done anything wrong. Have I caused you any trouble?" Mary protested. "Do you really not see it? I found out that Mary herself is married. Doesn't it bother her that her own husband is involved with another woman?" Whether she didn't understand or didn't want to, convincing Mary was difficult. Eventually, she slumped onto the table, crying. I wonder if she's thinking about her husband, I pondered, considering telling her about the certified letter I planned to send soon, but decided against it. I'd have to explain what a certified letter was first. While I dealt with Mary, John stayed silent, looking solemn. John, sign these two documents. Here's the divorce agreement and the divorce petition. $30,000 for compensation. Is that too much? I asked. Hey, don't judge the extent of my emotional distress, okay? I replied sharply. At my words, John stayed quiet for the rest of the conversation. All that could be heard in the restaurant afterward was Mary's quiet sobs. Later, my divorce from John went through smoothly. I confirmed that the compensation and asset distribution were transferred to my bank account in one lump sum. With that money, I decided to move into a slightly nicer apartment, a fresh start in life. It was a little luxury to lift my spirits. It turned out that John had to sell his childhood home to pay the compensation. It's sad that after paying what he owed, he was left with almost no money. But it was unavoidable since the $30,000 he gave me wasn't the only thing he had to pay. It seems like John's total expenses will end up being well over $100,000, doesn't it? It looks that way. He's also facing damages claimed from his company, someone explained. Mary, the wife of an executive at one of John's company's important clients, I added. The executive, upon learning about the affair through the certified mail I sent, was reportedly furious. With the evidence I provided, Mary couldn't deny it. Additionally, Mary was assisting John by leaking her husband's company information. This affair and the subsequent unethical behavior caused a major rift between the two companies. John seems to have lost his position. He's not only facing cold treatment from his superiors and colleagues, but also has been fired and slapped with hefty damages, I explained. Poor guy, but he brought it on himself. Do you think he'll be paying off the debt for the rest of his life? Someone asked. Sadly, that's what I think will happen. John's future looks bleak. He's probably struggling to figure out how to handle the overwhelming cost of his affair, I replied. Later on, it seems John struggled to find another job. He eventually gave up on full-time employment and resorted to odd jobs to make ends meet. There are rumors that the managing director was working behind the scenes to sabotage John's job search. However, the truth of this matter is uncertain, and it's unlikely anyone would benefit from trying to confirm it. John, who had also gone through a divorce, got back together with Mary, another divorcee, and they started living together. But it seems their living situation isn't going well. Mary is quite a spender. She splurges money like there's no tomorrow. Despite John's efforts to save money from odd jobs, Mary quickly spends it all on things like cosmetics, makeup bags, and clothes. They can't seem to stop arguing about money, so even though they're no longer cheating on each other, the relationship seems strained, I concluded. I heard this directly from John himself over the phone. He reached out asking for financial help because times were tough. What did you do then? Someone asked me. Of course I refused. I have no obligation to help them. Who would want to help those two? Especially after they used to call me a maid behind my back. Whatever happens to them doesn't matter, I replied firmly. After the divorce, I went back to my job in medical administration, and I'm happily working at my new workplace. I'm so busy that I hardly have time to think, but that's what suits me best now. Sometimes, when I do have free time, I can't help but remember unpleasant things, and it makes me feel down, I explained. The other day, I came face to face with a reminder of those unpleasant things, none other than John himself. It was on my way home from work, on a quiet road at dusk. He called out to me as I was walking home alone. I turned around and was speechless for a moment. His hair and beard were grown out, his skin was tan, his cheeks were hollow, and his clothes were dirty and worn out. I was shocked and disgusted by the sight of John, who looked completely different. I continued. Hey, it's been a while. Is that you, John? Are you okay? Are you able to eat regularly? I found myself asking questions like a concerned guardian. Despite my disdain for him, John's condition looked pitiable even to me. I'm managing, eating something every day, though not 3 meals. And work? Not much luck lately. I spend my days collecting empty cans and old magazines. If I take them to a dealer, they buy them from me by weight, he replied. After chatting for a bit, John hesitantly brought up the main topic. Listen, do you think we could give it another try? He asked. What about Mary? I thought you two were living together, I asked. I broke up with her. She dumped me. Mary's probably gone back to her parents' home by now. I wouldn't be surprised if she arranges a marriage and settles down with someone her parents choose. John replied, his face showing signs of emotional turmoil. It must have been a painful breakup for him, to the point where even talking about it with me was difficult. John's current state is truly pitiful, but I have no hand to offer him, I concluded sadly. After that encounter, I saw John a few times in line at the soup kitchen run by a nonprofit organization. He had become so thin, and whenever he noticed me looking, he would awkwardly turn his face away. I definitely don't want to end up like that. Every time I see John, that thought hits me strongly. He's a negative example for me, and this is how my first marriage ended in disaster. But I haven't given up on finding happiness with someone. There's still a long journey ahead of me. I believe that I can still shine from now on. With that in mind, I've decided to start participating in local social events with my friend Claire. Being divorced doesn't mean I should feel defeated. The world is vast, and there must be someone out there who will embrace me gently, I concluded, determined